Hi, my name is Franca Maria Ando, and this is my new podcast called The Three Lemons. The Three Lemons is about creatives who take things that are normally plain and boring and make them into exciting, beautiful things that people can enjoy. Hi, welcome to the Three Lemons podcast. I have here with me today an artist, a creative, and he'll tell you more about what he does. And his name is Ambassador Prince Kojo Hilton. Welcome to the Three Lemons podcast.
Thank you, Lady Franca.
I've been given the title.
Yeah, it's an honor being here. And in fact, I like your space. Very artistic.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So tell me a bit about yourself. You're very active on social media.
Yeah.
So, one learns a lot of things about what people do based on posts and information that you put out there. But I'm sure there are things that people don't know. So tell me a bit about your childhood. Where did you grow up? It's a question I ask everybody.
Great. So I was born and bred in Accra, suburb of Accra, Accra, and I schooled there till I finished JHS in 97, and I moved to Tema.
Okay.
To stay with my mom and my stepdad. So that was where my whole life began, in Accra, where I started doing my artworks, drawing, painting, sculpture, anything I lay my hands on. I try to do something creative with it.
So how did you discover this gift of yours?
It all started when I was a little boy, and I can't tell how old, but I remember I was very little. I used to use charcoal to draw on the walls, and I received beatings because our parents, you do that and you stain the walls, whatever, and sometimes use clay, sand, anything I lay my hands on, I try to do something creative with it. But unfortunately, my mom wasn't seeing any future in what I was doing then, and she wanted me to become a pilot. Every time, say, Joe, me person be a pilot, be fly planes. Since I would just be there watching my mom, And it was just recent. I sat down quietly and I said, "Oh, okay, I shouldn't have blamed my mom that much, because as at that time, if you see artists, you see them with paint all over. You see them in a kiosk, just doing sign writing or doing epitaph. The sign that's a rest in peace black thing, and you don't see any future for them as at that time, But I thank God that I was seeing something different. Right from when I was a little boy, I was seeing myself being celebrated. I was seeing myself becoming the world's best artist. And I was seeing this, but my mom or the people around me weren't seeing. In school, I'll do works and a teacher will come home and say, "Oh, Prince Mame, Obano ya de pa or the drawing go ahead." But then I never got discouraged. There was a time I had an accident. I was drawing. I was supposed to be doing my homework, and this was what I was doing. I kept my drawing book beneath my homework book. My mom was around as at that time, so when I see her coming closer, then I'll pretend like I'm reading. When she moves away, I try and I pull my drawing sketch pad and I'll be drawing. Unfortunately for me, one big cousin of mine was standing and he noticed the act. And he said, "Mali Tishe, Joe no draw no bounce." So my mom angrily went in to bring cane. So upon covering the work, mistakenly I turned the pencil upside down on the chair. And covering the work like this, the pencil entered into my... This is it.
Oh my goodness.
1 inch. pencil into the nib broke into my chest. That night was chaotic. The blood was just oozing out like that. They carried me. I remember I was taken to police hospital, and I was operated that night. And for some time after the wound healed, I had a little free space to do my own thing for a while. So one uncle of mine who came to my mom and said, "Oh, Jano, give him space, let him do what he loves." And then, so that was when I got a little time doing my own thing. Sometimes after I close from school, I go to the library. At the library, I go to the museum, the National Museum at the Accra, that Tigo Street,
by the cathedral.
Yes, area. And I go to the museum every day after close of school. I'm the only person allowed to enter the museum with a bag. And do you know what I have in the bag? I have my poster colors, my brushes, my drawing kits, and I'm allowed to go. I look at those huge paintings and I replicate them in my sketch pad. And when I go there, I find comfort where I am, because the visitors, that people that visit the museum, when they see me drawing, say, "You did this?" I say, "Yes." "Wow, you did this yourself? Good. Keep it up. So the people there always encourage me, but when I come home, I receive beatings. The reason I receive beatings is that my school and home shares the same wall. And my mom was a dressmaker then. She sews, and she's always at home. So she expects that after close of school, I should be the first person to get home, because I share the same wall with the school. But after close of school, I cross the gate and run to the museum. And I come home in the evening, I get beatings. The next day, I go to the museum again. Now, the museum exposed me to the broader scope of art. I enter the museum and I sometimes look at one artwork and stay by one art piece for over an hour, trying to figure out what the artist was thinking before he or she created that piece. I can look at a painting and cry. That was how bad it was as at that time. There are some places I know the museum, the in and out of the museum, more than those who are working there now. Those times, there are places in the museum, you go there and it's like you are out of the world. Now we don't have those spaces there. The museum was closed down for like 7 to 8 years. Yeah. And with the campaigns some of us pushed, you remember, on social media somewhere 3 years ago, single-handedly pushing, talking about the museum, opening up the museum. And by the grace of God, we had the museum open today. Because I know what personally I gained from the museum, and I want others, the young ones as well, to benefit. What has made me a multitask artist? I would say the museum also contributed to my growth in my skill. Now, secondly, during my JHS level, I had an uncle who was then working at the National Theatre as the technical director. Those days, if you watch Kiso Concert Party, they have a background like a village, the madhouses, those props and costumes and all that. And it was my uncle who was doing that. Yeah, so I started visiting my uncle when I was in JHS, started helping him to paint backdrops, to create costumes, doing makeup. So because of the love for the arts, I fell in love with theater. So I started also doing that, and then gradually he also pushed me into film, because he does films as well. He creates props for films and all that. I remember there was a time he was called to come work on a film, create a shrine or something in a movie, by Danfobie. And he said, "Oh, he's busy at the theater, but he will send his his nephew to come and do it. The man said, no, I don't want any small boy to come and do it. I want you yourself. Johnson, please come and do it for me. I said, no, I'm busy at the theater. You let him come. He's my replica. They talked down, and then my uncle said, okay, I should go and do it. So the man agreed. I went there. And by the grace of God, I was able to do something that the man never expected of me. And that was how I stuck to film. I started designing for films, doing set design in movies, creating props, doing special effects like stabbing effects, hand cutting effects in movies. One of my, I could say greatest film, a special effect I did in movie was to burn a house in Ghana. And it was in a Ghanaian Nigerian movie that was shot here in Ghana. There was a scene in a script whilst we were shooting that we were supposed to burn down a house. The director kept postponing that scene. Now we were about to finish the film. And I approached the director. Director, there's this particular scene we need to shoot. We need to burn down a house. I said, Kojo, are we in Hollywood? So, but director, you should have asked me. I'm the art director on set. If it's not achievable, I'll let you know. So he said, Kojo, what can you? I said, yes, I can do it. I'll make it happen. How will you do it? Okay, so I'm going to create a model of the exact house and direct the cameraman how to handle the camera to film it. I said, really? Whoa, these things are done in Hollywood. I said, don't worry, I'll do it. And I got the cartons. I met the producer. He paid for all the materials. And then I built a miniature of the exact house. I think 4 feet, like this, to that height. And when you see it in the picture, it looks exactly like the same house we used for the film. Now, you see, art is so interesting. If someone is an artist, he's a mini god. Yes, that's how I see it. And if you're an artist and you are not growing your craft, you are not investing in yourself, you become limited, and there are so many things you can do. But I believe if you're an artist, you should be able to do everything. We always say God is an artist. God made the trees, everything, So if you have a little bit of God's traits, you should be able to.
You should, yes.
Yes. So I thank God for doing this. And that day, they shot that model, and it looked so real. They were so happy, and that was the scene they used in the trailer of the film. That was the exact scene they used. They were so amazed that we could do this in Ghana here. So that's about me. I love the arts. I never regretted being an artist. If I go and come again, I'll still become an artist.
So did you go to like a formal art school?
Okay, so after JHS, I enrolled in ICS, International Correspondence School.
Okay.
The school was in US.
Okay.
And then I did a distance learning with them. It was supposed to be a diploma course. I got to the last exams I was supposed to write. They increased their fees and I couldn't pay. But the tutorials I had from them, the books there, in fact, really helped me that I was home, but I was helping students in tech. I was doing their project work. They bring their project work to me at home to do it for them. So I got to it and realized that why should I go waste my time go to senior high school? So what I did was I wrote NAFTI. I registered, wrote general knowledge in art, picture making, commerce, and core English. Just 4, had my passes, and that was it. Then I entered into the film industry fully. That was when I met Salam. That's Venus Film, Gupado Films, those Nigerian film producers and all that. So I was in the film, but I'm somebody who always want to, grow. So when you come to my home, you'll be shocked that you wouldn't meet paints and brushes where you think you will see a library, a huge library. That library contains everything art, from music, dance, costume, makeup, props, set, scenic design, everything. I read, I do a lot of research. When I entered into the film industry, I was working as a set designer and I was building props also as well for films. But upon reading and doing a lot of research in film, I realized that, okay, you can't remain a set designer forever. You should grow. a set designer grows to become an art director, and the art director also grows to become a production designer. And when you get to the production designer level, you are the god of the film, because you create the visuals of the film. You create the visual look of the entire movie. As a god, I want to get here. I started reading, doing research, buying books, going on the internet. That time, and that was 2019, 2019, 2009, 2007, 8, 9, that time. Before 10, you go to cafe. I go to cafe in the evening, like say this time, and come home the next morning. Do what I do. Before going, I'll create some folders on my pen drive. Maybe a folder that I'll title it maybe art direction. I'll title it set design. I'll title it special effect. Title this different topics. Then go to the cafe. In the evening, downloading is fast. So go to YouTube and download videos, making of movies, interviews of art directors, production designers, Avatar, the making of Avatar, the making of Apocalypse, the making of like movies that I want, to learn from. And come home the next morning, sit, practice, use my materials, practice them. And that was how I started growing. So I realized that no, I need to move from being a set designer to an art director level. And you can't do that by just being on set. You need to advance or get into an institution to attain that title. So I went to NAFTI. Now, me going to NAFTI, I had a lot before going to NAFTI. I've done a lot in the industry before going to NAFTI. And I find it a waste of time to be in a NAFTI for 4 years. So I did certificate at NAFTI. And it was just a year. And graduated 2014. Now, today as we speak, I did certificate at NAFTI. But today as we speak, NAFTI hires me to run masterclass for level 300 and level 400 students. I have lectured in universities in South Africa. I've lectured in universities in Nigeria, Ondo College of Education, and UNILAG, University of Education, in University of Lagos, in art direction, or let's say in art, film, and theater. That's the level I have taken my career to, and it's still coming.
So basically, you're self-taught.
Yes, I'm self-taught artist. I even mentioned it today on the interview that I took this morning. That I'm a self-taught artist, but I believe education is not in a classroom. In Ghana, or we Africans, we are always being schooled and not being educated. But you can educate yourself, not go into the classroom, like how I did. And today, I hold one of the most powerful titles, which if I show to you, you'll be shocked. So as we speak, I have been appointed the United States of America Presidential Service Center ambassador. So I'm an ambassador to US Presidential Service Center. Same here, I've been appointed to run a film festival in honor of Ronald Reagan. That's the 40th American president, past president, who was then an actor.
Yes.
And that's the level, by the grace of God, I have taken my career to. I was appointed just last month, May, on the 5th.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And I think what I hope the young folk learning by listening to you is about really knowing what your gift is.
Yeah.
And not just settling for one level, but constantly. And I think that's what I've learned from our conversation, like the constant upgrading of knowledge.
Exactly.
And the push for excellence and the push for more.
Yes.
Where you're not saying, I've arrived, I'm okay, but you're pushing yourself. Is your mom alive?
Fortunately, my mom died after I completed school and I was preparing to have my graduation, and my mom passed away. And unfortunately, she's not around to see all these things that are happening to me today.
But did she accept?
Yes,
before
yes.
she passed,
we got to a time.
She was okay.
She was okay. She loved what I was doing. That was when. Now it's like I'm out of hands. As a you know, and thank God, her grooming got me focused, and I never lost my direction. Because there's no area, for me, from what I've studied, I realized there's no area that is just single. If you are doing sound, booming is the first stage of doing sound. Okay? Like picking sound from set. You should get to a time where you become a sound mixer. From there to become the last point, the sound designer, and also becoming a Foley artist, somebody who creates sound for film and theater. Ask in this country, how many sound men have gotten to that level where they create sound for film?
Our sound guy will get to that level.
I'm praying. Get there for us. Okay, so there's no area that you say, oh, I'm just doing makeup. We have prosthetics, we have special effects, we have different types of makeup. If you're a makeup artist, you need to learn all these areas. And that's the reason why in our movies we are not seeing.
We are limited. The stories are limited because we are not.
Sometimes somebody writes. Sometimes somebody writes a beautiful script. We go on set and we spoil it because the script says, and he smashed the TV, and the producer said, I don't have a TV to be smashed. But sometimes some of the things are not even real because we've not learned that level where we can use visual effect to enhance special effect. Sometimes all those things we can't even achieve it. We shoot a whole movie, like how many days? 12 days, 15 days on set, and hand everything over to the editor. The editor does the story, does graphics, does sound, does even visual effect. And you expect to get the best? No.
So do you think that's what's also affected?
Yes, it is. The movie industry.
Yes,
it is.
It has.
Because we are not getting the best. You know, I once saw some of this movie. A movie I wouldn't want to mention where it's coming from, but a whole Ghana movie industry were mocked with that video. It went outside. One of these American something. Then they were watching that video that came from Ghana and they were laughing at us. Meanwhile, somebody somewhere has done his thing. Now it's affecting all of us. They will say, "Oh, Ghana movie industry is how they do things," you know. But I believe in the schools, if the visual art students or even our courses, we get to know that if you are doing visual arts, you are exposed to doing graphics. Or
I see that you're doing a lot of school.
That's
school
why,
visits, right?
Yes, that's why I started this in
just to
2010.
Encourage the young students
and to expose them to the broader scope of the trade, for them not to be limited. So a lot of them don't even know what to do with visual art at your school. So upon going to the schools, I ask you, what are you doing? So I'm doing graphics. Good. Do you know you can become a motion graphic artist? I say, what is that? Okay, so graphics is just still. Motion graphics is where now you write A and the A can move, like you see on TV. Okay. Now From motion graphic, you become an animator. That's where you do 3D and you do a pencil, and the pencil can bend. You design. So from graphic to motion graphics to visual effects. So if they get to know that, oh, okay, so graphics is not just by designing posters, obituary and all that. You know. You see, so that's what I'm doing. It was 2014. I had a chance to work with Hollywood. I was employed to work as a scenic artist in Nairobi, Kenya. And when I came back to Ghana after the shoot, I have to go on TV and explain myself to the whole Ghana who a scenic artist is. Even to the people, those in the same industry with me, don't even understand who a scenic artist is. So you see, how do we grow?
But I think, and you know, I think one of the things you said that's quite important is you knowing what you wanted to do, and you having to fight in a way what you want to do, and you now turning around to encourage young people, because the people that met you in the National Museum encouraged you. And so you understand the importance of encouraging and educating.
Exactly.
And I think that if we continue to do stuff like that, some gems will come out.
Yeah.
And we can build like a solid industry. A solid creative industry. Because I think we don't realize as Ghanaians the importance of creatives. We appreciate them, but we don't realize what they can do to a community, what they can do to a country, and how our creatives represent us internationally. You know, how people see us is through our creatives. You know, they're not going to come to your house and see how you eat fufu, but they can see it in a film.
So we're selling our culture in
absolutely.
our movies. And if we don't represent ourselves well,
we're not doing ourselves any favors.
Exactly. You watch American films and you see American flag in most of their movies. How many Ghanaian movies have you seen a Ghanaian flag?
I'll put it in my next film.
Yes. Every American
that's a very important point.
You see the American flag. Now you watch movies, and let me tell you this as well. Our movies we produce in Ghana never solves our problem. I've never seen any Ghanaian movie solve any problem. I've seen many movies, many American movies that have solved problem. There's one movie I can just mention, Concussion. Concussion was it was starred by this guy, Will Smith. Okay, so they sat down and realized that football, in some way or the other, is killing the players. The game itself is killing the players. How did they get to know? When they wear the helmets and they are
American football.
Yes, they hit their heads. You know, they crash their heads, and it affects the players. It damages their brains. If you watch that film, you see what they did. It has solved a huge problem. I watched series of movies like that, but none of our movies is like that. We watch film just to go laugh, quack, and come home. By the time we get home from the cinemas, we've forgotten
the problem is, and the problems are still the same.
Problems are still there. You know.
Ambassador, thank you for your time.
Yes,
thank you for your gift.
Amen.
And thank you for how your gift is impacting the industry, but also for me, for young people as well. And the whole point of these conversations is for them to also take inspiration from people like you.
Amen.
So I really appreciate your time.
Bless you so much. I'm honored for giving me this space.
You're welcome.
And your audience too watching.
You're welcome.
God bless you all. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.